Hello, once again, welcome to an all-new episode of the Imperial Collector. As always, I'm Oliver McCurry, the Imperial Collector. Welcome to episode 2 of the new year. It's actually episode 22 in the entire series. And today's a special episode. We're actually going back to our roots. We're going to go back to something from episode 2. If you remember, we went over the Mandalorian in his Beskar armor, which is his shiny silver armor that the armorer made for him, and we have went over the armorer figure as well. Also in that episode, we went over Ahsoka Tano, as you see by my shirt and by my two friends here. Here's a Lego Mandalorian helmet that I got. We'll see that a little later when we're going over everything in the collection room, which is coming soon. Several fans have been requesting that, and it's coming very soon. And also a little Grogu here. But this is a Grogu still from when it was called The Child. And we have some things here today when Grogu was still called The Child. We're going to be we're doing a figure review, not an unboxing, but a figure review of some Mandalorian figures from the very first season of The Mandalorian. I didn't plan on having these to be the last in the set of Hot Toys that we looked at in our collection, but that's what happened. And it just so happens that in a few more months, in May, there's a new Mandalorian movie coming out. The Mandalorian and Grogu will be in theaters in May of this year, so we'll definitely be going to see that. I hope it's great. But today we'll be going over Kuill, which is a character from the first season of The Mandalorian, as well as Mandalorian in his original armor, which was kind of rough and tattered up and multicolored, and it was not Beskar. Beskar is a particular metal, big strong metal that even a lightsaber can't break through, that the Mandalorians have, and it's very rare. But I'll explain that later on. And as well, we'll be going over several little figures of the Child, or Grogu, as he's named later on in the series of The Mandalorian. But yes, we are looking at our last Hot Toys figures, and in the next episodes, we'll be looking at various things in the collection room. We'll do an overall view, a quick overall view of the collection room, kind of a panoramic type thing, and then we'll start going over everything in the room specifically. There's Funko Pops, there's Star Wars Hot Wheels cars, there's figures to go over, figures in different sets, like just for instance, I have Luke Skywalker from birth all the way through to current. Actually, I have a figure of Obi-Wan Kenobi taking baby Luke to Owen and Beru. So it's a special figure from Star Wars, The Revenge of the Sith, where you see Obi-Wan taking baby Luke to them. It's actually a figure with a little baby, and it's supposed to be Luke. So the progression of figures there. I have different collections of figures like Cad Bane, Grand Admiral Thrawn, just a whole lot of things, as well as different collectibles, coffee mugs. I even have a fork. My wife gave me a fork for Christmas, and it has etched on it, "May the fork be with you." So we'll be looking at that too. A lot of good things coming up in the future. But today, that's enough talking. Today, we're going over these Hot Toys figures. And to start with, we're going over Kuill. Now, if you remember, this is a very neat character from the first season of The Mandalorian, Kuill. If you remember, his voice was a lot like this, because he was voiced by actor Nick Nolte. And you'll know he sounds like that. Kind of like RFK. But he was famous for his statement, "I have spoken." Mandalorian would say something to him, and kind of in an argument type thing, he's like, "I have spoken." He said it. That means we're just going to go with it. So first of all, we'll take a look at this figure overall. Very detailed as these Hot Toys figures are, front to back. He is on a standard base like we've seen several times before, like a sandy base here, and it does say Star Wars, and it says Kuill. You spell his name Quill. He comes with a little bucket. Now the bucket, what this bucket is for, is actually for his blurg. He has a herd of blurg on his like farm that you see him at in the Mandalorian. Now, there was a deluxe figure of Kuill, and actually the Mandalorian that you could get a blurg with them. It was the size of these figures that they could sit on, so it'd have been about this big, really. Very expensive, kind of rare to find. So I don't have that, but I do have a blurg that you can see, and that is from a Funko Pop. That little creature right there is a blurg, and as you'll see here, this is a Funko of the Mandalorian riding this blurg. So Kuill had a bunch of these blurg, and they look mean, but they're actually nice little. They're more like little ponies. If we were to compare them to animals, on Earth. I should have had the bestiary book from our last episode and read up on the blurg. Maybe we'll do that at the start of the next episode. See what it says about blurg. But anyway, he had a bucket of food that he could feed his blurg. Even though this was not the deluxe figure, he did still come with that bucket. He also came with, right here on his pack, there's a little dart that's on there. He has a little pack here. I don't think it opens. No, it doesn't. But it has a real leather texture to it. It looks real, like real leather. His helmet here reminds me a lot of an old fighter pilot helmet. It's like a leathery feel. He's got goggles. He does some welding. He has his goggles down when he's doing that. He was actually the one that turned IG-11, which is that robot droid that we've seen. We've actually went over an IG-11, the one where Grogu was inside controlling him. But this was IG-11. First, he was a bounty hunter robot droid. It's kind of the same thing. And Kuill actually reprogrammed him and turned him into the nanny. No, not Fran Drescher from the TV show, but the nanny for Grogu. And he defended and took care of Grogu. And then later on, something happened, and his processor got damaged. And now I can't remember his name. Oh, Grief Karga, with the help from Anzalans, turned IG-11 into like a droid that you could sit inside and control with controls, and that's what Grogu did. And we went over that figure before, and we also went over some Anzalans in an episode as well. So we've hit the mark on a lot of these. But yeah, this is Kuill. He comes with his little rifle that he has here, and they do get into some dust-ups and some fights. Now, Kuill, his alien species is called an Ugnaught, and the Mandalorian, which at that point we don't know his name yet, he's just called the Mandalorian, and we haven't even met Grogu, the child, at this point, is kind of wary of Kuill because Ugnaughts normally are Imperials. They were workers for the Imperial from the Galactic Empire. I think we first see them. I don't think we see them before, but we see them in The Empire Strikes Back. They're actually working. They're working to set up the trap for Han Solo that Boba Fett has set to freeze him in carbonite. We also see carbonite in The Mandalorian. He does some freezing of. He's going to freeze some bounties in carbonite. But this is Kuill. Like I said, very detailed figure. It's pretty cool here. Go over him. He's got leather boots, and he has the, as we know, I was about to say it was a crotch grabber, but it's not. This one is a base that just goes around his waist. So this is a waist base. He has little pouches here, and he's a rather short figure compared to other ones. They're little short creatures. But this is Kuill. And the reason that I don't even have the boxes, and kind of the reason why I save these figures, is some of these I don't have the boxes. I ordered them from eBay, and they were just loose, like they belonged in somebody else's collection, and they sold them, but they had all the parts with them, so that's cool. The next figure we'll go over is the Mandalorian, and you'll see he looks very different from the Mandalorian that we saw in that second episode of the Imperial Collector. Now, this is a really cool figure. Some might think it's a little morbid, his base. We'll look at that first, because you might have noticed there's a stormtrooper helmet on a spike. And that's not his entrails. That's just some cloth that's coming out of the helmet. That would be gross. But there is like some blood staining on there. But they were basically, after the emperor had died, trying to clear out the empire from different outer rim worlds and things like that. But there were stormtroopers still around, so they were getting kind of wiped out. And if you're a stormtrooper or an Imperial and you see a bunch of stormtrooper helmets on spikes, you kind of stay away. So they had this unique, interesting base. And there's something else about the base we'll go on in a little while. No, we're not Megan Trainor all about the base, but it is interesting. So this is the very first time we see the Mandalorian. And of course, just like that other figure we went over with Beskar, he is very detailed. Now, he does have his usual gun belt. He has his blaster. Now, in the figure that we see in episode 2 of Imperial Collector, he has his Beskar staff. Now, in this one, he still has his rifle. And you'll notice the little fork at the end. Now, this rifle was originally designed for Boba Fett. It's for the concept of Boba Fett, and you'll see it in the 70s Star Wars cartoon, where we first see Boba Fett, actually, and he does have this gun. And then later on, they repurposed it and was like, let's give it to Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, because we haven't had it in live action yet. So, yeah, it's very detailed. Like I said, he doesn't have his Beskar armor yet. This is just armor that he's gotten pieced together. He has his cape that we've seen, tattered and rough and torn up on this armor. Now, something in my eye. In this one, you will see something interesting that you don't see later on right here. Now, he doesn't have this little device in his Beskar armor because this is the tag for his bounty. His bounty, as we know, if you've watched The Mandalorian, is the child. He meets up with Grogu, the child, and is supposed to kill him. But he doesn't. And he's actually either you kill him or you bring him back alive. And they'd prefer that you bring him back alive. But Din Djarin has killed some people as a bounty hunter, because that's what he did. He was a bounty hunter for Grief Karga. Very detailed figure. So I want to go over this part with you, talking about the base. Now, this technically is a deluxe figure, and you'll notice that with the base. And he would have came with, actually, the child. And the child would have connected to the base right here in an interesting way that I'll show you in just a little bit. Actually, on this side. But again, I ordered this from eBay. It belonged to another collector and was not fully complete. It was missing the child. So later on, I found in another eBay auction the other part to this, which is the child, Grogu. Of course, he's not known as Grogu yet. He's just known as the child. A very interesting figure. Now this one, he's magnetized. It's not the full figure. Some of them later you'll see we have the full figure, but he's just magnetized, and he sits right in his hover pram. Now this is his first hover pram, and again, very detailed inside, very detailed outside with the rough scoring, the base. Now this was a secondary base. It's kind of neat the way they did this. And I like how he just pops in there with magnets, and he has his little blanket is up under here as well. Yeah. They crafted this little piece that actually connects to the side of the standard base to make it look like it was part of this figure the whole time, to make it a deluxe figure. It just pops right on there to the side, and that's the way, of course, I have it displayed. So you see the Mandalorian and the child Grogu. And originally, if you remember from the Mandalorian, the first episode, he had his gun here, and he's kind of pointing it into the pram, and then Grogu's reaching his hand out, because this is the first time we see the child, which was the bounty that he was supposed to take back to the collector, not the Imperial collector, but the collector, because they were going to try to do experiments on him. They knew he was a force-sensitive creature like Master Yoda, and was going to try to replicate that. Moff Gideon was going to try to clone him, actually. And later on we find out that doesn't work. He never gets a drop of Grogu's blood because of his soon-to-be later adoptive father, Din Djarin, the Mandalorian. So this is Grogu, the child, and the Mandalorian, Din Djarin. And you'll see this is the deluxe set right here. And this will be the last official of these size Hot Toys that we go over. Again, leather-like boots. There's like sand on his boots. It's very detailed here. You can tell it's like sandy from down here. He does have the crotch grabber, as we show, as his stand. And he has his little thermal detonators right here on his belt. It's just a really awesome figure. And we'll set him to the side over here. And the last few things we'll go over. So there was a Hot Toys set that came with multiple Grogus, multiple of the Childs. And the reason for that is because throughout the Mandalorian series, he went through a lot of prams. This one got crushed. This one got crushed by a creature, a water creature, on an episode where they were on a planet in the ocean. And this kraken-like creature crushed his pram, and Grogu shot out of it. So then he got another pram. Mandalorian built him one. It was either Mandalorian or Kuill. Kuill might have helped with this. This was the second pram. Now, there was a set of figures, like I said, they came with 3 different Grogus and 3 different prams. And because you see 3 different ones, actually 4 different ones, sort of. And I'll explain that in the Mandalorian series. This would be the second one. And again, he's magnetized, just kind of sitting in there. Very detailed. This one's a little newer looking, because this one the Mandalorian and Kuill made. So it's a little sleeker design, looks more up to date. It has a little engine on the back that's a little bit better designed than the original hover pram that he was found in. And I think now it's not the same figure, but he actually came with a couple of interchangeable heads. This one he's kind of he's smiling over here. This one he's kind of laughing, and you can see his teeth. So that's the first pram that he comes with in this set. And I've talked about this set before because it was interesting. It came with 3 different Grogus. It came with a Loth Cat, just kind of an extra figure. If you're collecting Mandalorian, there were Loth Cats in Mandalorian, Tuca Cats as well. But also later on, if you want to put them with some of your Star Wars Rebels sets, there was a Loth Cat that came with it. There was the additional Gatling gun that was with the heavy infantry Mandalorian that we went over with the armorer, which his name is actually Pez Vizsla, we find out later. And also the circular, kind of a holographic, but it blocks shield. It was a shield for Bo-Katan's armor. We went over that as well and saw that for Bo-Katan. Next you'll see, now honestly, and I did not go back to look at this, but I kind of sort of remember this. It is a little electronic box that did kind of hover with him in it. I don't remember when this was in the series. I kind of remember it, but I don't remember exactly when he had this. I don't think he had this long. But there are stands like this one where you could put this on, but the way I have them displayed, I just kind of have him sitting here. But again, this is like a little hover pram box. You can see there's electronic controls on the front and on the back there. He has like a blue blanket that's in there with him. And this one you'll see is a different head sculpt. His ears are kind of down a little bit, and he has kind of a solemn look to him that you'll see there. But again, his hands are kind of on the side, hanging on, because he is kind of hovering along. And the last one here, this is the most recent pram in the last few episodes of the last season of The Mandalorian. you'll see him in this newest pram. Now, this one is completely spherical. It's probably my favorite. It actually came with two tops. It came with one that would actually close it completely, and it had a little blue outline on it. This one actually shows controls. You'll see little controls right there in front of Grogu, where he can move those controls. It's got like a leather red seat in the back. And it's very much up to date, because this one is very sleek. You'll see he has a little compartment in the back right here. It's outlined. Now, it doesn't open, but that's where he can pop in and out of the back. So this one is really cool. That's the last one we see. Again, this is a different head sculpt as well than those other ones. Kind of a different expression on his face, and you can interchange those out between, amongst those three, and actually this one as well, as you want, if you wanted to. But yeah, that came in a deluxe collection, and of course I had to get that with those Grogu figures. And that brings us to the end of the Hot Toys collection that I currently own. It's been a great journey going over those with you. We're not going to wait forever to do the next episode. We're going to have another one out very, very soon. I hope you are liking the channel. I hope you do like and subscribe to the channel. Let us know if there's any ideas for new episodes that you have. But like I said, the next one, we'll kind of be going over the entire collection room. And we'll go over all the different things here. If you know Star Wars, there's a collection called the Black Series, which is kind of a 6-inch figure. We went over a few of those. There's the Black Series helmets, actual helmets that are life-size. Some I can wear, some I can't. I have a big head, so some of them won't fit. Going over those, some statues, some stuff direct from Disney World, from a trip me and my son took. Just a lot of stuff coming up. So I hope you stay tuned and continue to be a fan of the Imperial Collector. May the Force be with you.